This is CBC Vancouver News.
I want them to say, yeah, it was their fault. I want them to know what it's like to be us for the last year.
She survived a deadly fire at a Gastown hotel. Now a former tenant is filing a class action lawsuit.
We just walked in downtown Victoria.
We should have a stronger season than last year.
Back in port, BC's cruise ship season begins, and with it, hopes for businesses. Close call. A Vancouver resident escapes uninjured after a tree smashes into his living room. Good evening, I'm Lien Yeung. Thanks for joining us. We begin tonight with some breaking news. Police are responding to a stabbing that happened aboard a bus in Surrey tonight. At least half a dozen police cruisers have been seen at King George Boulevard and 100th Avenue since about 9:30 p.m. this evening. Paramedics were seen aboard doing CPR on someone aboard a bus. An individual was loaded into an ambulance with life-threatening injuries. Police say this incident is not believed to be related to our Lower Mainland gang conflict, and it happened between two men who were having a fight on that bus. In other news, a year after she escaped at a deadly fire at a Vancouver SRO, a tenant is suing the city, the owner and operator of the Winters Hotel. As Joel Ballard reports, the lawsuit comes amid calls for more accountability.
1 year ago, Jen Hansma lost everything. Her belongings, her home, her young cat, all gone in the Winters Hotel fire.
It's the scariest thing that I've ever been through in my whole entire life.
2 people died and more than 140 were displaced. Now, Hansma has filed a proposed class action lawsuit against the building's owner, the operators of the residence, and the City of Vancouver.
I want them to say, yeah, it was their fault. I want them to know what it's like to be us for the last year, how many of us have panic attacks and how our anxiety is up through the roof, how most of us don't sleep anymore.
3 days before the fatal blaze, a smaller fire broke out in the building. In that case, the fire alarm didn't go off. The claim says the fire was doused by sprinklers and residents who used fire extinguishers. It alleges city firefighters turned off the sprinklers, but no one took steps to reset the sprinkler or fire alarm systems or replace fire extinguishers before the fire occurred 3 days later. The residents had no warnings about the fire and no means to fight it.
We may be low income, but we are people too, and we deserve the right to live a comfortable life.
Today, survivors and housing advocates gathered to remember those who lost their lives and to call for change.
If we don't do something about this, all of these buildings could come down and catastrophic fires would take even more lives.
And advocates say last year's fire has left lasting scars and added to the homelessness crisis.
For many of the residents of that SRO, there is deep, deep trauma in that and a lot of fear about being placed into another unsafe home.
The lawsuit alleges the owners and operators failed to ensure fire safety measures and the city failed to enforce fire safety regulations, although none of the claims have been tested in court. Atira declined an interview, but in a statement said it is focused on the tenants affected by the fire and extends support to those fighting for justice. The City of Vancouver did not provide an interview or statement to CBC News. The province has said a coroner's inquest into the deaths will be conducted, but no dates have been set. Joel Ballard, CBC News, Vancouver.
Police are searching for suspects after one person was stabbed yesterday at a New Westminster SkyTrain station.
At this initial stage of the investigation, it would appear that an altercation occurred between 2 groups of individuals, resulting in the injuries to the victim. Investigators are asking any witnesses that may have seen something that have yet to speak to police to please come forward and contact our investigators.
It happened last night around 11 at Columbia Station. The victim was sent to hospital in serious condition but is expected to recover. Officers say the suspects are young people. They don't know how many were involved in the fight, but they're looking for 2 men and a young woman. The first is a man described between 18 and 20 years old with a thin mustache. The second man had short, dark hair and was carrying a satchel. The third suspect is a girl between 16 and 18 years old. Well, Vancouverites can soon crack a cold one any time of the year at a number of public plazas. City Council approved the return of the public drinking program that started in 2020. This time, though, the program will extend year-round to 6 locations. 4 on the west side along Cambie and Granville Streets, 1 downtown and 1 on Main Street. The location in Kitsilano will run from May to October. Residents of an apartment building in Vancouver's West End had an unexpected visitor, a tree, in their living room this afternoon. At around 2 o'clock at an apartment near Barclay and Guildford Street, a horse chestnut tree suddenly toppled. It crashed into the neighboring building, smashing through a second-floor living room window. The owner of the apartment was luckily not in harm's way when the tree burst into his home.
It's actually the kitchen. You can see the windows like fine there, but I heard a noise and looked over and I saw the tree coming through the window and I didn't know what was happening, right? It's just like, what's going on? There was a cracking noise and then like just enough time for me to look over, and half a second later, like the window's breaking.
The Vancouver Park Board is investigating the cause of the tree fall. They say the majority of tree failures are associated with weather-related events, but it's still too early to say what led to this. Well, today marks the first of what's expected to be a record-breaking cruise ship season in BC. The Sapphire Princess docked in Victoria today before it heads to Vancouver. And as Mira Baines explains, it's a welcome arrival for local businesses.
A record 331 cruise ships are scheduled to visit the West Coast this year, bringing back tourists and tourism dollars, following a 2-year temporary shutdown during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. Last year, cruise ships once again resumed their trips to BC, and this season, between April and September, cruise ships are expected to bring 1 million people to Vancouver's downtown core and about 850,000 to Victoria.
So much a good time to go. I've only been to Canada once, and that was Niagara Falls about 40 years ago. So this will be nice.
We just walked in downtown Victoria, and yeah, hopefully it's not rain. Yeah. And maybe go to Chinatown to have some food.
The cruise ship industry's economic contribution to the province is estimated to be $2.7 billion, according to the Tourism Association of BC.
During the pandemic, we didn't see that injection of money, so it's great to have it back again to keep the economy buoyant, to keep all the amenities that are generated by the cruise ship passengers and the money they inject into our economy.
Tourism operators in Victoria were eagerly awaiting passengers today.
We should have a stronger season than last year, because what we're noticing is that the boats are bigger. Not necessarily that there are more, but that they are bringing more people to the city. So we're excited about that.
One of the biggest criticisms of the industry has been the spread of COVID aboard ships during the pandemic and its environmental impact, something the province is trying to reduce. Last week, the BC government announced $9 million towards providing electric plug-ins to provide clean energy to cruise ships at Ogden Point. It's to reduce emissions. Tomorrow, the Sapphire Princess arrives in Vancouver, with another ship arriving the day after. Mira Baines, CBC News, Vancouver.
Bus trips are set to become more frequent on Vancouver Island as well. BC Transit has introduced Greater Victoria's first designated rapid transit service. The new Blink RapidBus route 95 runs between downtown Victoria Terminus on Government Street to Langford. It's designed to provide faster and more frequent service. Riders can expect a bus at least every 15 minutes. It replaces the old Route 50, but makes fewer stops.
The only way you'll ever convince people to truly use public transportation is by putting more on the road. Sometimes 10-15 minutes is too long.
BC Transit plans to provide similar rapid bus service between Uptown and the University of Victoria, as well as between downtown Victoria and the Swartz Bay Ferry Terminal. No word on when those buses will start running. Post-secondary students in BC will be getting more help to pay for their education. The provincial government has announced an increase to financial aid. It's the first boost to weekly student loan maximums in more than a decade. Starting in August, single students would see their aid double to $220 per week. while students with dependents would see theirs double to $280 per week. Also, starting in August, there will be changes to student loan repayment terms to align with the federal government's repayment assistance program. Well, disc golf has become one of the fastest growing sports in North America. The Professional Disc Golf Association says at least 10 million people have taken it up. And as the CBC's Corey Bullock reports, it's a massive hit in one East Kootenay community.
It's a morning ritual. While most might greet the day with work or school, this group of seniors is getting together to play the game of disc golf. Every day, rain, snow, or shine. They're known as the Chain Rattlers.
What we're getting is a lot of fresh air, great exercise. It's stimulating in so many ways.
The group began playing 3 years ago. They picked up steam during the pandemic. And, according to the Professional Disc Golf Association, that's when the sport saw the most growth it's ever seen.
Well, it was growing steadily year after year, which was great. But the last 3 or 4 years, it's gone boom, and we're just doing everything we can to keep up with the growth. We have had as many people join the PDGA the last 2 years as we did in the first 40 years.
Brian Clarkson and his comrades share their skills with other seniors. They also teach clinics at the elementary schools in town. For most, it's a chance to spend time with friends and get some exercise.
Oh, the camaraderie is the best. How we build each other up, how we support each other, how we teach each other and point out things to each other.
I have an artificial hip. I've had it since '82. And I'm able to do this kind of thing. I think most seniors can do it, even if they have, a minor disability.
For others, it's a love of the game.
You can't just toss a frisbee, as like you say. You often have to shape the shot, and you have to do it very intentionally.
The group typically plays at Idlewild Park, one of 4 courses in Cranbrook. It's 18 holes and takes about an hour and a half to play. For the Chain Rattlers, it's home. Corey Bullock, CBC News, Cranbrook.
It's time to get your walking or your running shoes ready. Starting tomorrow, you can register for this year's Terry Fox Run. It was 43 years ago tomorrow that Port Coquitlam's Terry Fox started the Marathon of Hope to raise money for cancer research. To mark the occasion, the Terry Fox Foundation is launching their new campaign called Dear Terry. People can also get a limited edition shirt, seen here, worn by Vancouver-born Ryan Reynolds, who also helped to design it. It's to pay tribute to all the people who wrote to Terry during and after his run.
In big mail bags were arriving at Mom and Dad's house, and I think it's something like over 50,000 pieces of cards and letters, and probably every single one of them started Dear Terry.
This year's run will take place on September 17th. For more information on registering, check out their website at terryfox.org. Nearly half of women in Canada will experience some form of domestic violence. Victims are calling for a national registry of offenders. Now a group of ex-wives are helping other women online. That story. And thanks for watching our commercial-free live stream. Regina Mayor Sandra Masters recently weighed in on the criticisms of slogans used as part of a tourism rebrand for the city, saying they were a mistake. The city's tourism body renamed itself Experience Regina. The launch included 2 slogans that drew a lot of criticism online for sexualizing the city.
The controversy over the newly rebranded Experience Regina stems from its unofficial slogans, one being the city that rhymes with fun. The tourism group was quick to apologize and remove the language. Regina Mayor Sandra Masters says those slogans were not part of the original brand she was presented on March 7th.
They were sexist and wrong, and they hurt and impacted people, and they it's just bad for the city.
The mayor says there was a misstep in the approval process with a manager unexpectedly away. Regina Exhibition Association Limited, known as REAL, oversees the city's tourism arm. Its board of directors is meeting Thursday night to review exactly what happened. Tim Reed, the CEO of Experience Regina and REAL, says the investigation will evaluate everything, including whether he should resign.
Ultimately, this is my responsibility. And I've certainly suggested I'm open to any conversation they wish to have. I haven't had that conversation right now with anybody, but I certainly regret where we stand. And I also am very accountable to the fact that as a leader, my job was to make sure those things don't happen.
Mayor Masters says overall she likes what she saw originally for Experience Regina, a phrase first made popular in a viral video from 2008. But with international attention focused on the fallout, one marketing and PR expert says it will be tough to come back from.
It's the brand of the destination, so whether you find it funny or humorous or otherwise, did it make you want to go there? Like, did you go to Google and check out the flights to Regina? Probably not.
The Experience Regina campaign cost about $30,000. Neither the mayor nor Reed could say what will happen next. The REAL board will, however, brief council on its findings at a later date, most likely in private, as it will involve personnel. Daniela Ponticelli, CBC News, Regina.
One of the key underpinnings of last month's Mass Casualty Commission final report was that more needs to be done to stop intimate partner violence. Nearly half of women in Canada will experience some form of it. As the CBC's Katie Nicholson tells us, some alleged victims are calling for a national registry of offenders and a warning this story contains information that may be upsetting for some viewers.
Making a brew?
You have a tank, you drop stuff in the tank.
A couple's playful games night.
Feeding fish. Yeah.
But Amy Graves says the reality was much darker, especially the day she ended her relationship with Mike Poirier.
He pinned me to the wall, started choking me, gouging out my eyes, and he picked up the screwdriver, held it to my neck and said, "Do you want to die today?"
Graves says she managed to escape and took her allegations to RCMP. Poirier was charged with assault, choking, and forcible confinement.
I heard he's here.
And as Graves' 3-year journey through the justice system began, she got some unexpected help.
You don't know me and have no reason to, but I'm Mike's first ex-wife.
Mike Poirier has 3 ex-wives in Ontario, Newfoundland, and Yukon. They all describe tumultuous and abusive relationships, some of those allegations supported by court records. And they all found one another over the years. They even tried to warn Graves about Poirier through this direct message. Her relationship over, Graves finally responded.
They helped pull me out of that trauma cycle, I think that abuse cycle. I didn't know what it felt like, feeling like you're crazy and doubting yourself. So they helped me pull me out of that haze.
Graves started to pay it forward, warning other women about Poirier on social media, even as he racked up more convictions stemming from his interactions with women.
It seems like there was a hole in the system somehow, especially with online dating.
Graves and the ex-wives believe there should be a national intimate partner violence registry.
If women living across the country can find each other to share information in a case about domestic violence on social media, it's surprising that we can't ask the same of our police.
But, says this law professor, it might be hard to create a national registry after the Supreme Court ruled the sex offender registry was unconstitutional last fall.
The government would have to carefully tailor it to avoid running into some of those same problems that the sex offender registry had.
As for Graves, she never got her day in court. The charges against Poirier were dropped in January when she couldn't testify because she was in hospital. Through his lawyer, Mike Poirier declined comment. There is currently a warrant out for him in BC for criminally harassing another woman. Katie Nicholson, CBC News, Toronto.
The CEO and members of the board of directors for the Pierre Elliott Trudeau Foundation are stepping down. As Catherine Cullen tells us, the resignations come after the charity became embroiled in controversy over alleged foreign interference linked to the Chinese government.
The Trudeau Foundation is a foundation with which I have absolutely no intersection.
The Prime Minister has long tried to distance himself from the foundation named after his father. But lately, politics still looms large over the Pierre Elliott Trudeau Foundation.
We weren't partisan. We weren't promoting a particular vision.
The foundation insists on its independence. The nonprofit gives money to support academics, but one donation has it entangled in concerns around foreign interference. It came from this man, Zhang Bin, an advisor to the Chinese government. The Globe and Mail reported the $200,000 pledge was an effort by officials in Beijing to sway Trudeau, though Trudeau's work with the foundation ended before he became prime minister. Still, it's messy because the man who was the Trudeau Foundation CEO back then was appointed by the government recently to write a report about interference in the 2021 election, including the actions of the Chinese government, prompting political reaction like this.
He hired the former CEO of the same Trudeau Foundation that had received the money from China to write a report about it.
And the former Governor General that Trudeau appointed to advise him on foreign interference is also a member of the foundation. Today, the CEO and board resigned en masse, saying, "The circumstances created by the politicization of the foundation have made it impossible to continue with the status quo." Pierre Poilievre tweeted out a call for an investigation into the foundation, but the Prime Minister is pointing the finger at Poilievre.
I have no doubt that the Trudeau Foundation, like foundations and charities that conservative politicians have attacked in the past, will continue to do the excellent work that it will do.
The Prime Minister didn't directly answer whether all this politicization would stop him from making future appointments with ties to the foundation. Catherine Cullen, CBC News, Ottawa.
And it's 11:22 p.m. You're looking at a live shot out towards the Port of Vancouver. Johanna Wagstaffe will be back after the break with your full forecast. And there's some sun in there. Stay with us.
And with me is Ted Reynolds, and it's our lucky chore to be with you to describe for you the largest man-made non-nuclear blast in history, in peacetime history. Now, Ted, I wonder if you'd like to locate our position more completely, please. You bet, Bill. Good morning. Out beyond us, you can see the villain of the piece, or the hero of the piece, as the case may be. Yonder lies Ripple Rock, 7,000 feet from us. Where is it? Well, for the benefit of those of you from other than the coast of British Columbia, this map will perhaps locate us for you. You can see the U.S.-Canada border here and Vancouver. Ripple Rock is 125 air miles from Vancouver. Actually, it's right in the middle of this target here. The black dot is the village of Campbell River, which is the closest bit of real population to us. Right in the middle of this circle, that's 10 miles north of Campbell River, lies Ripple Rock. So, funny-looking place we're in is our bunker. You can see it's pretty well constructed, and as you can also see, it's just about as full of people as it can possibly be. Down at the far end, the CBC radio commentators, film cameramen by the score, then our colleague from the French network, Bill and I, and just over here, the two cameras. Of course, you can't see the camera that's taking the pictures, but there's the other one. And out on its snout, that great long snorkel that sticks out there is a 25-inch lens, and that'll pretty well put Ripple Rock right smack in the middle of your living room when it goes up or out or sideways or whatever it's going to do in 2 minutes and 15 seconds right now. How about the countdown, Ted? Well, the countdown, Bill, will be your baby. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and here's what's in your CBC Vancouver inbox.
The Surrey Board of Trade's Top 25 Under 25 Awards returns on May 3rd. Celebrate Surrey's role models and get your tickets today at businessinsurrey.com. And join CBC Vancouver's Gloria Makarenko at the annual Because Mothers Matter Awards on May 10th. Celebrate women's extraordinary achievements at this year's event. Learn more at mothersmattercentre.ca.
The weather update is brought to you by Direct Buy Furnace, installing the most reliable heating and cooling brand. It's hard to stop a train.
Time now to talk weather, and meteorologist Johanna Wagstaffe joins me. What a splendid afternoon we had, Joe.
Leanne, it was so nice to see the sun today after a rainy, cold start. Cumulus clouds dotted the blue skies. I know we are seeing a few showers move across the south coast right now, but we are getting behind the instability. The instability is still very much in the interior, where you can see we do have warnings in place for the mountain passes across to the Kootenays. Hopping over the Rockies, our same stalled out system that brought all the rain to the Kootenays over the past 24 hours. It's bringing high winds and continued snowfall to places like Jasper and Banff, but it is easing for us on the west side of the Rockies. This low pressure system is continuing to bring that instability into our neck of the woods tonight. We've got this steady southwesterly stream, so we are seeing pockets of showers across the south coast lingering through the overnight. And earlier today, even some lightning strikes right across the interior, again, as that low directs pulses of energy across the province. Those higher snow levels we saw earlier this week, along with all of that fresh precipitation, means that the high stream advisories are still in place from the island right through to the Kootenays. We'll be watching that over the next couple of weeks. This kind of weather systems we're seeing now and over the weekend, that's what we don't want as we head into our spring melt, but luckily temperatures are fairly at or below seasonal, which may not be good for those of us wanting spring, but that is good for slow snow melt. Okay, taking you through the next 24 hours, our low finally kicks south. We get a couple dry days, and then as we head into the end of the week, another old Pacific low moves in, bringing that instability back just in time for the weekend. Looking to see some sunshine, though, across the interior tomorrow. It'll be nice to get that back after the active afternoon and evening you saw in the interior. Prince Rupert, showers continue for you. A 10 up towards Dease Lake and a 10 over towards the Peace as well. And a 10 in through YVR. We will see the clouds increase for the end of the week. And there we go. Just like we like it. Rain on the weekend, right?
Oh, perfect timing as always. Thank you so much for that, Joe. And tonight, before we let you go, wanted to say a huge congratulations to my colleague Anita Bath. So the Canadian Screen Awards were handed out, and Anita won for Best Local News Anchor. So huge congrats to her, everybody who was nominated, everybody who won. Yes, always great to see people being rewarded for their great work. All right, that's it for us tonight. Thank you. Have a great night.